Welcome to It's 11, It's Heaven for Jamie Vardy, the Leicester City podcast by Leicester City fans. For Leicester City fans, we're here tonight to reflect on another defeat to Leicester, which has now planted us right at the bottom of the Premier League table. Joined tonight by Tom, Barry and Steve, who was at the game on Saturday. Steve, you're back up there in Aberdeen now. How was your weekend in West London?
Rather drunken. Sadly, it was in consolation and depression, not out of celebration. But it was good fun. Nice and warm down there compared to Aberdeen.
Yep, good. Well, it's good to have you with us, and we'll get your viewpoint on what happened at the bridge on Saturday. Tom, good to see you. How you feeling?
Yeah, you too, mate. I'm feeling all right, I suppose. A shame that we didn't get the result that we perhaps think we deserved, but we kind of mostly predicted that. So all right. Otherwise, mate.
Barry, at least you're not in any better mood than we are, although you're at the height of about 15th in the table with your 3 points so far. How bad are Everton? That's the question. But yeah, not so great for you guys at the weekend as well.
Poor day, poor weekend for all of us. I think. Don't know how cheery and happy this show is going to be.
I know it's going to be a bit of a challenge, isn't it, to keep it upbeat? But we'll do our best. We've obviously got the transfer window closing in on us as well. But we'll start off with the events at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. Disappointing 2-1 defeat to Chelsea, as called by me. 3 points on the British League. Thank you very much. I'll take that. But Steve, what went wrong? How did we end up losing that game, playing against 10 men for 60 minutes?
Well, maybe playing against 10 men, I think, because it meant we had all the ball. And you know how good we are at breaking teams down that are putting a low block on us. And they were able to break on us, whereas I think it would have suited our game a bit more to be the other way round, to be honest. We were coping all right, 11 versus 11. Samari made a mistake, which let them in, and Ward made a good save. But other than that, they didn't really threaten us. The Chelsea fans around me were just moaning and bitching all the way through about backwards, sideways, boring football under Tuchel, and why can't they get it forward and what. And we seem to be coping okay. A little nervous, obviously, after what's been going on, but we seem to be coping okay. And then the sending off happened, and I still think we played okay in the first half. The rest of the first half, and second half we went to sleep. Vardy should have put us one up just before half time. Actually, it was a great chance, and he screwed it wide. He may or may not have been offside, but the flag didn't go up. And second half, we seemed to be playing a lot slower with a lot less intensity, and then mistakes happened. So you've got Dennis Pratt left Cucurella, and he got the ball into Sterling, and Marty wasn't quick enough closing him down. Took a deflection. Should it have beat Ward? Well, it did. So that's 2, if not 3 mistakes, giving Chelsea a goal, which I think was criminal when they were down to 10 men. And then next time round, you've got 2 men on James Justin, both the winger and the fullback. Barnes nowhere to be seen. So they played it around him, got the ball in. Castagna was ball watching, leaving Sterling with a tap in. So more mistakes. And that gave us a mountain to climb. And to be honest, even Tuchel said we should have got a draw or deserved a draw. A lot of the Chelsea fans I saw said we could have even won the game, but we didn't. Poor finishing. But it was criminal to give those 2 goals away, to be honest, and start so slowly in the second half. That's what killed us.
It started off so well, Tom, as well. The sending off for Conor Gallagher, I don't think he had a leg to stand on really for either of those bookings, did he? I think the first one he took ADH out when he was breaking away from him, and the second one on Barnes. It looked quite good at that stage for us, didn't it?
Yeah, like you say with the bookings, the first one's just a silly one, and the second sort of does the same thing again, but it actually looks a bit more dangerous on second glance. He takes Harvey's ankle out pretty badly. And we should be sort of seeing that as a positive for us and getting on it. But You know, as Steve says, if we're starting the second half like that and crumbling, you know, we kind of deserve what we get, I suppose.
I guess so. I think very arguably, though, Barry, we should have had a lead going into half time. We had a goal disallowed that can be said to be soft at the utmost. But how come Harvey Barnes' goal got disallowed for the foul on Mendy? Didn't seem to be a lot in that.
I don't have the answer for that, unfortunately, mate. I like it. It's just this thing for keepers, isn't it? They just seem to get away with things like that. There seems to be these unwritten rules or rules that people don't know about when it comes to even a grey shade of the goal. I felt really disappointing for you because he deserved it. And for me, there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. And actually, I was watching Dermot Gallagher talking about it, and he said as much as he didn't believe it was a disallowed goal, by the law of the rules, it had to be disallowed because he was touched. Just rubbish.
That is absolute nonsense, isn't it? You can't. Steve were having a chat before we came on air about how times have changed a little bit, the good old days and all that. But you can't. You surely got to be allowed to be able to challenge for a ball from a corner like that. Of course, it rolled out a goal for Big Dan and Marty as well. It would have been a good start really for one of our centre backs to score against Chelsea when they're nicking one of ours. But you felt that we had a really good chance to go into half time 1-0 up. We missed another chance. Vardy missed one-on-one, didn't he? And then his first missed one-on-one, should we say? And then I think Castagne forced Mendy into a save right in half time. Steve, was it feeling at half time that you thought we would maybe go on and win the game from that point?
Yeah, it looked like it. I mean, it was going to be a tight game, 11 versus 11, but then we gradually seemed to get hold of it in the first half. Once Gallagher was sent off, and yeah, there was the disallowed goal. Great chance for Vardy. He'd normally put that away, and then good save by Mendy, who looked a bit dodgy throughout the game, I have to say, but that was a good save. He made a few saves, but I wouldn't say that was probably the best save he made of the game. The others were pretty, you'd expect him to make those saves. In fact, you'd probably blame him a little bit for the Barnes goal as well.
Yeah, he got beat on his near post, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he hit it hard, but you shouldn't get beaten on your near post.
I guess we've come out, Tom, straight after half time again, literally within 2 minutes of the kickoff, and we've allowed them complete impetus to the game again, haven't we? Letting Sterling in, free shot really from 20 yards. I know it got deflected and sailed over Danny Ward's head. What was your thoughts on the goal?
Well, it's clear. It's the same as what we've been doing, really. We're giving people too much space in and around the box. I mean, I hate to kind of diss on Marty, but he's just nowhere near him. Like, he's just nowhere near him at all. And, you know, Marty's a utility player. We're now relying on him week in, week out to fill in a centre-back role that he's not really capable of doing for us. And yeah, I know there was a slight deflection on the shot from Sterling, and fair enough, you know, it's a nice effort, but there's no pace on it. And I do think Ward should do a lot better. Yeah,
he seems a little bit slow, doesn't he, with some of these balls over his head. I was talking to Steve earlier again, Barry, about the goal that Jesus scored against us for Arsenal, which was a world-class finish, I think, but he still seemed quite slow to the ball going over his head. Would you say that was the same for that goal on Saturday?
Yeah, he did seem a bit flat-footed. He was kind of caught on his heels, but like, I think sometimes got to give the keeper the benefit of the doubt with that, because you don't expect it. Like, he's preparing his body to try and save one bottom right-hand corner. I think that's where Sterling was trying to aim for, and it just took an absolute wicked deflection. You can't really do much about that. It happens to every keeper at some point. The spin of the ball, with the ball going so high, just takes it back down. Yes, I think it'd be harsh to put too much blame on him.
Just a little note on Dan and Marty getting the start over Sionchu. So Brendan Rodgers has come out today, and his comments are, I see them every day in training, so it's consistency, desire and mentality with Sionchu and Amati. And also that he feels that Amati wants to be at the club, whereas Carragher's in his last 12 months of his contract. If we're going into this season as Amati now as our first choice centre-back, which we're 4 days away now from the end of the window. No, we're not. We're 2 days away now from the end of the window, sorry. And we've got problems there, Stephen, can we?
Well, unless he's more aggressive, yeah. I have to say he had a good game apart from that too late closing down Sterling. Other than that, he was comfortable on the ball, which I wouldn't always say that about Amartey. He made a few runs forward even, which I've never seen him do from centre half. And generally he defended very well. But that's what Fofana brings, and to a degree Soyuncu brings, is they're quite aggressive. They go looking for the tackle and looking for the block early. And Amartey seems to wait and wait too long. And so, but it would be a concern. If he's got to be our first choice centre-back, I would be concerned, yeah.
That's no minutes of football this season, Barry, for Chakwa Soyuncu at the minute. Reading between the lines there, his time at Leicester might be up. Would you half expect to see him on his way out as well before the end of this window?
Yeah, I think unfortunately, there isn't he's not going to be. You can play him in the league, you're not going to cut time for anything, so it's not going to. His value's not going to depreciate or anything like that. So just for me, he's better than Amartey. Steve was right. I thought Amartey was quite good on the weekend. But yeah, I don't know. I his tail end of last season form wasn't too great, so I don't know. Maybe Rodgers is just ranked him out and went, "No, you're not for me. You're not good enough." And maybe Amartey is giving a better effort. You do have to sometimes reward that.
Yeah. Well, you get that, but you look at the other 19 teams in the league, and you probably wouldn't have Amartey in many of those teams, I don't think, in terms of his quality start. I think Tom used the word utility player. That's probably right, Tom, isn't it, for the level that he's at for us, and his sort of maxed out potential that he's got. He's at his level, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we've played Wilf in that position before, and we've not. you don't feel.
And Hamza Chowdhury.
Exactly, yeah. We've got these players that can kind of rotate into that slot, but now with the situation we're in, obviously with Fofana and all the rest of it, we really need to find that player that's going to be there long term.
And they need to be quick, because they'll be playing with Evans, so we can't have two slow centre halves. We need a quick one to be playing with Evans.
Can you get on my petition to bring Harry Maguire back, Steve? Is that something you'd be on board with?
No. He's not quick, is he? I mean,
he's instead of Evans, though, I think.
He'll probably go for a reasonable price now, but I don't know where his confidence will be shot to pieces, and he's not quick. And
he'd fit in then, wouldn't he? Confidence FC. As we sit here tonight, Wesley Fofana is in New York, apparently having the second part of his medical over there, because the Chelsea owner has got some concerns around one of his past injuries that he wants an expert to give the once over. Steve, what's your thoughts on Wesley Fofana as we sit here now?
Well, I think I could hear the thoughts of the Leicester City fans and sitting in the corner, and they kind of thought he played with himself rather a lot. I just think his behaviour is disrespectful, childish, unprofessional, and I don't have any time for that. And I think I've said before in the comments, Slabhead got a lot of stick when he left Leicester, but he never caused an ounce of trouble, right? Same as Kante. But Kante only served a year for us anyway, let's be honest, and then he was gone. But Mahrez, he caused some problems, and I think Fofana just as bad, but even worse, really, right? Even worse, because he did a season for us, having thrown the Mardis at his previous club to get a move. He then got injured. We looked after him. He signed a 5-year contract, and then he starts behaving like that. I think it's awful, to be honest. I'll give him some latitude because he's still a kid, but it's awful, unprofessional, disrespectful behaviour.
Are you looking forward to seeing him do it to Chelsea in a couple of years' time when Real Madrid come knocking?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom, your voice has changed.
Sorry, I didn't know that was at me, but yeah, I agree.
That's all right, yeah. I think some credit in the bank has to go to the away fans on Saturday, though, Steve. From what I heard there was quite a vocal displeasure to Fofana, but also Ben Chilwell was getting some stick as well, which is
Yeah,
nice.
he was.
Yeah, Ben Chilwell, he sits on the bench and he was resorting to pointing at his tattoos, I believe, by the end of it. Barry,
Somebody said it was a tattoo of the European Cup. Somebody else said it was an LCFC tattoo. I can't imagine he's got one of them. But yeah, when he was warming up, when he was warming up, he's obviously running to the corner in the shed where the Leicester fans are, and they were giving him some stick. Yeah.
Barry is a purveyor of fine tattoos. If he has got a Leicester City tattoo, no, I'm joking. We'll come away from that. But for you then, for the second goal, going back to the game, it was like a game of statues from the Leicester defence, wasn't it?
Yeah, Steve said it. Everyone was just ball watching. Like the ball was ace, but I watched it a couple of times today, and I was like, could and should Ward anticipated that? I'm just not too sure because it was past him in a flash. I just don't know if it was too fast or not. And yeah, Castagna was just absolutely sleeping. It was quite a good goal, to be fair. I think if your own team scored it, you'd be pretty chuffed with it. But defensively, I think the back four were all kind of too high, which is strange when you're defending a sort of byline cross, because like James was ahead of every single defender when he did it, and it went straight past every single one of them.
Yeah, James Justin had two guys as usual. I mean, Barnes is not known. He had a good game, Harvey Barnes, but he's not known for his defensive ability. And he just had I don't know if it was Havertz and James, I can't remember, but he had two of them and they just passed it round him. I thought James had a good game, actually, James Justin, and James on their side. But I think Justin did well on that side, but he couldn't do anything there. There was two of them that just played it round him. And it was a great ball in. And Castagna was daydreaming.
Going back to James Justin and Harvey Barnes on that side there, Harvey Barnes in particular, Steve, when you're in a bit of a rut and you're at the bottom like that, it starts from the back, doesn't it? You have to dig yourself out of holes through hard work and doing the basics well. So it's frustrating to see that sort of goal going against us. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Brendan Rodgers would be angry at both goals, to be honest. I mean, they were both preventable goals. And as I say, Dennis Pratt wasn't tracking back with Cucurella for the first one. Amati didn't come out and block it, or not quickly enough anyway. And then Barnes wasn't helping James Justin. And Castagna switched off. I mean, it was just a catalogue of mistakes, all preventable. I think he's going to be livid. As you said, that's a minimum of 2 goals every game we've let in. And how are we going to get points if that's what we do?
You don't, because we're not creating enough chances usually. I think we did on Saturday to get to that again. But on a usual game, we're not creating enough chances to score 1 goal sometimes, never mind 2. Tom, at that point, 2-0 down, it's game over, isn't it? Even against 10 men usually. Did you feel that we might be able to feel our way back in the game a little bit from there?
Yeah, I mean, as you've said, we had the odd good crack at goal. I mean, even Perez had a bit of a storming shot at the woodwork. But yeah,
the ball from Amati from that was ace. Amati's through ball was ace for that. Yeah.
yeah. So
and the one Perez did with his outside of his foot to put Vardy through again was another good ball. Perez didn't actually play bad when he came on.
Yeah. What did you think the starting lineup then, Steve, when you've seen that? There's a few surprises in there, wasn't there? So Dennis Pratt on the right wing, bit harsh on him. He's not a right winger. We don't have a right winger. Boubakary Samare back from the ashes, really, a phoenix from the flames, because his career was all but over at Leicester, and now he's dead.
Well, we all thought he played quite well in pre-season, but he seemed to be keen on a move, and therefore Rodgers wasn't playing him. He seems to have switched from that and wants to stay, prove himself at Leicester. He started a bit slowly, I would say, and gave away that chance that Ward made the great save on. But he grew into the game, even when it was 11 versus 11. But, I'd struggle to give him too much praise, because a lot of the time he was on, it was 11 versus 10. So we should be in a controlling situation. So I'd like to see him have another game. I thought he's strong on the ball. He didn't give it away very much. you know, and Didi for me, he's got very sloppy with his passing. He's great at intercepting balls and backing up the defence, but he puts us under pressure by giving it away a lot. So it might be worthwhile another try. Pratt didn't work for me. He wasn't match fit. He didn't know. It was like a fish out of water. He grew into the game a little bit, but you know, they both had to come off because it was their first competitive games of the season. So they both had to come off reasonably early. Yeah, I'm glad to see Pratt have a game, but I thought he was probably the one of the worst players on the pitch for us. But he is played out of position there.
Yeah, he is. Barry, as a manager, or if you can imagine in the manager's position, you're under a bit of pressure at the moment, and a player like Samore comes to you and supposedly has had the conversation that he doesn't want to leave after a year with the year that he's had at Leicester like that. He wants to dig in and fight for his place. Is that a bit of a boost to Brendan Rodgers, do you think?
Yeah, it would have to be. Yeah, it would have to be. I think sometimes with these players that come over from France, they do need that first season. It's rare that they come just ready to rock and straight into the action. Like every club's had it. And everyone's, I suppose every club makes the mistake of being impatient with it sometimes. But yeah, it was right. I was going to actually ask you, when you think of like how well Perez came on and Pratt playing on the right, if you don't have Madison, surely it's one of them two that goes into that role, isn't it? Like the creative midfielder. I just thought it was a bit strange that neither of them got the start.
Neither of who, sorry?
Perez and Pratt got to start as like the 10, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you got brought onto the right hand side when the attacking substitutions got made, didn't it? I think it was maybe a bit more of a defensive lineup. I think the idea was probably that Pratt would offer a bit more defensively down that side against Cucurella. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out that way, did it? But yes, I thought Perez did okay when he came on. I think the latest on him is that there's a couple of Spanish sides that are interested in doing a deal for him before deadline day. Tom, if that's the case, it could be a free transfer that Jose Perez leaves on to save his wages from the wage bill. What's your thoughts on losing him at this stage?
It's not ideal because, as Barry's just said, you know, we've got so few players that are capable of doing that sort of creative role. And I know he's not really hit the ground running and not been a constant, you know, a constant member of the team and someone that even the fans have been sort of drawn towards. But I don't know, with what we've got going out, it's worrying, you know, what we might be left with.
Yeah, I'd say if he was going to perform, keep him. But the trouble is, he performs about one game in 10, and you know he was crap when he came on against Southampton, right? And I thought he did all right at Chelsea. But how often does he? You know, every now and again he has a game, and you think, oh, Perez could be good.
Yeah,
and then he's crap for the next few games.
Yeah, it's true. It spells of, you know, one game or half a game, and then we don't see him again.
Yeah,
which is disappointing.
Good to see Harvey Barnes get on the score sheet for his first goal of the season. A lovely bit of interplay with Jamie Vardy, who we'll come on to shortly. Barry, sharp finish, but should the goalkeeper be doing better at his near post?
No, I think give Barnes the credit there because it's just been clever. His position was looking like he was going to go across the goal, and he absolutely leathered it. Like not many keepers in that position would have been able to save that near post because he proper leathered it. It was a great finish.
Yeah, and against Thiago Silva as well, he beat him there, and he had a fantastic game for Chelsea, I have to say.
Yeah,
Silva was different class, but he beat James a few times, and he beat Silva there, and he was hit with such power.
Yeah,
yeah.
To see Barnes looking dangerous, Steve, isn't it? Because he is. I think he's one of our shining hopes really for the season of maybe pulling us through games that are tight.
Yeah. I think so. I think we missed Maddison's creativity, to be honest, and our set pieces were poor. KDH didn't have a fantastic game, and his set pieces were poor. And we missed that creativity and that extra something that Maddison can bring, I think. But him and Barnes are special. And I think when we got both of them playing, we've always got a chance.
Did you say you thought KDH was poor on Saturday there?
Yeah. One of the things I'd say is he never hides. He always wants the ball, but he was off a little bit. You know, he sent a few grubber of corner kicks and free kicks in, and his touch wasn't quite there and whatever. But he never shies away from it. He always wants the ball, and give him credit for that. For a young lad, it's easy to go hiding when things aren't going your way.
I thought that was one of his poorer games that he had for us on Saturday. I think picking up the booking when he did, which was a harsh booking, I've got to say, because I thought he got the ball. It just seemed to. I felt watching. I don't know if you guys felt the same either in the stadium or watching as well. That the ref was definitely going to even it up at 10-a-side.
Definitely had that feeling, Mark. Yeah. Even Rodgers with the Chelsea fan says, "Oh, the ref's going to even this up." Yeah. And you thought that it's almost like, well, it's one of the bit. It's like he's got a message in his ear. You know, that's what you've done. You sent off one. Well, I didn't have a choice. Like it was two yellow cards. Well, you better even it up later on in the game. It just felt like that. You know,
it certainly did. Tom, Jamie Vardy. Where do we start with this performance of the weekend?
Well, he at least got himself a couple of chances, but you know, a bit of a shame that he didn't put those away. A couple of seasons back, the balls over the shoulder, landing directly on his foot, they'd be in the back of the net, wouldn't they? But I think that just goes to show how good his finishing has been in the past. You can't really expect those to go in every time. So
I think you could expect maybe one of them out of three Saturday. Barry, would you say?
What's that, sorry?
I said you probably could expect one of the three out of the three really good chances, one-on-ones that he's had, to hit the back of the net with one of them.
Yeah. I didn't think he played all that bad though. Like I thought he worked quite well. Yeah, I think he worked quite well, and he did get the assist, I guess. So I thought he did okay. But I think he's needing a bit of time just to get the joints oiled and get up to scratch. I think there'll be a point where he'll just go on a goal blitz. I think he's just kind of getting his eye in just now.
He likes a goal against United, so maybe Thursday's the right time to.
Oh, let's hope so.
To get touching at the straws a little bit. I think the most disappointing one, well, the two most disappointing finishes, Steve, probably the second half where he quite tamely put one at Mendy's chest and then took it around him and slid it wide. The whole thing around that one where he slid it wide, he didn't look like he was really in control of the ball the way that we'd expect previously.
No, and he's normally good from a tight angle, isn't he? He's scored a few going around the keeper and hitting it in from a tight angle, but it wasn't really, for Vardy, it wasn't close. It was a good couple of foot away, really. So, yeah, but he did make the runs. He did get found. Something else that surprised me is how well Tielemans played, because he hasn't been playing well lately. And I thought
he did play well.
He was really up for it, considering it. You know, everyone's still saying he's going to go to either Arsenal or Liverpool in the next few days. He actually put the effort in, had a good game, gave away a penalty, which was a bit dodgy, and which he seems to do a lot. But he was gutted by that. So he still seems to play with passion and like he cares, which is, you know, better than Fofana, a million times better.
Well, Fabrizio Romano's come out today. I know I mentioned Fabrizio a lot on the podcast, transfer expert, and said that apparently Leicester are asking for between 25 and 30 million for Tielemans still, and that's putting Arsenal off at this stage. It could be a game of poker that goes right down to the wire there, Barry. We would half expect him to go in the next 2 days as well. I guess at the minute we're talking about a mass exodus of players, aren't we, in the next 2 days?
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, unfortunately. It's scary for a few of the clubs, because there's a few clubs like that, they're not really doing anything. And because there's limbo over their managers and limbo over certain players want to leave, like how can the board put 30-40 million into players if they're not really sure if they're going to keep the manager? Yeah, it has to be worrying, because like your squad will be relying on youngsters if it happens. Certainly with the full 9 subs, and when you're coming into cup games and looking to, if you're down the bottom, you kind of lose interest in the cups. So you're going to be relying on a lot of youngsters playing in cup games as well. It's not ideal.
It's not ideal. Tom, you're with Tielemans to leave or stay before the window closes? I'm going to put you on the spot for that one.
I'd like him to stay, but well, I can't see it. I think he'll go.
Liverpool's the latest team, of course, that he's been linked with. It's a bit of a shame, Steve, isn't it, when we talk about him coming off one of his best games? The stat from the weekend was that out of the other 14, as in not the big six, he created the most amount of chances out of anyone in the league this weekend. 6 chances that he created. That shows how effective he was.
Yeah. I hope we keep him. I think we've got a chance because I think, clubs have spent a lot of money. Liverpool are careful, actually, with what they spend normally at the minute or have been for the last 2-3 seasons. And Arsenal might just decide, well, we can wait. We've got a good midfield. We'll have him for free at the end of the season. So we might end up with him with one more season. If he puts the commitment in like he did on Saturday, I'll be very happy. Because I have been critical of him back end of last season and into the start of this season, but he had a really good game on Saturday.
European teams will be looking, teams that are in Europe, because he's not cup tied. For 25 million, that's pretty good value.
Yeah, I think Liverpool might be a serious option, for him, because they're desperate for a midfielder now, aren't they? And I could see him ticking like a Rolls Royce in that midfield, because he's carrying us a little bit through the midfield at the minute when. Indeed, he's not playing well, and KDH is at a level, isn't he, at the minute where he's improving all the time, but it's difficult for him, really.
Yeah.
So coming away from the game on Saturday, we knew that a West Ham victory against Aston Villa would put us bottom of the Premier League come Sunday. And Baz, unfortunately, that happened. So how did that happen, first and foremost?
How long have we got? Do you know what? The first half, they were awful. They were actually the worst team of the two. We lost a goal to a wicked deflection as well, but we showed no creativeness. We were never going to score. It was never going to happen. Gerrard took our 2 best players off just before they scored, and there was just no. We were just doing the same thing over and over again. We're too predictable. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Like he's got no idea. And Moyes you could just tell West Ham were just patient. Like even the players they subbed on didn't really do anything different. It's just inevitably one of their shots was going to go in, and it couldn't be a thunderbolt. It had to be a horrible deflection over the keeper.
Yeah, sometimes goals find the games that they deserve, don't they? And that was probably one of those.
Awful game.
Quick question to them. Bottom of the league, we've not had this now since the Great Escape season that we've been bottom of the Premier League. It's not pretty. I know we're 4 games in, so there's a long way to go. But are Leicester City in a relegation battle this season for you, Barry?
Yes. Yeah.
As
it stands.
How do you see this going? Do you see anything different than that, or do you think this is going to be a battle against relegation this season?
I think. I think Villa are too, but the next couple of days is going to determine that. And I just don't see anything happening for your guys. Like I just don't see it. Like the players you sent the links over to, I just don't see it, because the defender, he's highly sought after. So unless they're going to throw Fofana money at him, I just don't know. Leicester look as much as Leicester aren't, they do look like a sinking ship. And if you don't have enough knowledge of the Premiership and you're a European footballer, you're going to see that through social media, through the media, everything.
Sinking ship, Steve, Leicester City. Hard to disagree with that at the moment.
It is hard to disagree.
Hard to hear.
It is. It's tough to hear. And despite how well we played at Chelsea, we still lost against 10 men. But it's all about results now, isn't it? So, look, if we pick up 4 points against United and Brighton, everything will look different. We might not even be in the bottom 3. We might still be, but things will look different. But lose those 2 games, and we could be cut adrift and things looking really difficult at that point.
The window will be closed, of course, and in terms of personnel, there's nothing we'll be able to do there. No,
it's in comes Sam Allardyce to save the day at that point, I think.
Jesus. We've got big problems. Tom, do you agree with the sentiment shared by Stephen Barry there? Or are we panicking before we need to?
I think we're right to be worried about it. Certainly, it's that thing of we just need to get this bloody transfer window closed and see what we're left with. I mean, it's one thing for, you know, the team that we've got playing badly. It's another one with a couple of players stripped out that are creating things, or, you know, that are heavily supporting as through tough games. But, you know, it's been a bloody awful start, to be honest, hasn't it? Bloody awful. And yeah, if we don't pick up any points in the next two, you are thinking it's only going to go one way, and we'll be struggling to pick up points to stay in the league.
Yeah, and what worries me, Mark, is that even if they're back Rodgers and we sell a couple of players and we make a few signings, right? Let's say we get rid of Fofana, Perez, Cags, somebody else, Vestergaard or whatever. At the end of the day, any players we do get are going to be like 4th, 5th, 6th choice from what we wanted in the summer.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I can see the loan system being maximised a little bit here as well. I think we're going to get some outcasts, if I'm honest. I'm not sure that's always a bad thing when you're up against it, getting players to reinvigorate themselves a little bit. And the good thing, well, it's not a good thing because we're not at that end of the table, but sides that previously wouldn't have loaned us players because we were a threat now would potentially look at loaning as a player. You know, your Man U's and Chelsea's and sides like that. We should have a decent enough rapport with Chelsea now, obviously, with the Fofana sale there as well. So it's a bit of a hard one to talk about, really, isn't it? And try and make a show where we're not all doom and gloom is difficult. But Brendan Rodgers, for you, Steve, at this moment, you're still in this camp, are you?
Look, I'm not happy with our performances or anything else, but I just think we've got to give them a little bit longer. If we lost the next 2 games, I think my patience would have run out on him. And I'm just worried. What we might get is a temporary manager just to keep us from being relegated and then start again the next season if we stay up. I can't see us getting a Pochettino who is the favourite at all. I can't see us getting a Graham Potter, who I'd like to see if we did get rid of Rodgers. We're obviously too late for the Newcastle manager. He might have been another candidate. So I just think we're not going to get someone that's of the right standard for where the club wants to be. So it would have to be a temporary appointment to keep us in the Premier League.
Buzz, you're almost hauntingly right before that. Just that whole sinking ship comment from the top to the bottom. There is this problem at the moment of the club. The players aren't up for it. The fans aren't particularly up for it because of what they're seeing. The manager is obviously taking a lot of the stick, but maybe some of the blame needs to go higher than the manager as well. That would be reluctant at Leicester, of course, because of the relationship with the ownership. But how far is this malaise in this club at the moment? I think you said that's our new word to replace. What was the other one?
It was definitely malaise. That was
pivotal.
How far is this malaise in this club, and how can we look at shaking it? I guess results on the pitch can do that, can't they?
Yeah, they can. I think just that. Well, the top's not going to change. So if there's one thing for certain out of all the tiers of that, is the ownership's not going to change. So it has to be one of the other factors. I think. Yeah, like Tom's right. The window needs to shut because that's a big part of the doom and gloom. It's like the team played well on the weekend. Granted, they didn't beat 10 men, but they played okay. Rodgers still seems to be 50-50 within the fan base, maybe actually slightly more from what I've seen want him out. And then once the window's closed, and if you don't get the results in the next 2, then it is easier for the board to make a decision. But a change has to happen. Unfortunately, it's so weird how both our teams are so similar just now that there's a fear to buy players because they don't know who's going to be in charge in 2 games, 4 games, 6 games, and they might not fancy them players. They can't go spurting 30 million on a defender or a midfielder for them to be totally unfancied by the next one. And you have to think that far ahead because there's no signs of it changing. That has to be happening in the next month, you would think.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
We'll come back to potentially Rodgers in a bit, but we'll talk about the 2 upcoming games shortly. But let's cheer ourselves up with a quiz. And you'll like the theme of this quiz. 10 managers were sacked in the Premier League last season. I'd like you to give me the name of those 10, and we'll do last man standing starting with Steve. So 10 managers were replaced at 9 different clubs. One club sacked 2 managers. No prizes for guessing who that is. But I want the names of those managers that were sacked last season.
Solskjaer.
Yeah, correct. Barry?
Dean Smith.
Yeah, at Aston Villa. Tom?
Bloody hell. I don't know why, but I can't bloody think of anyone. I'm pretty certain I'm wrong, but I'm going to go Farkas.
Daniel Farker?
Yeah.
Norwich?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You
pulled out of the bag, Tom. Pulled out of the bag.
Well Googled. Steve?
It was one of the Watford managers that was sacked. Wasn't Ranieri, was it?
Because he was.
Oh.
Yeah. Ranieri, really? Yeah, do you know he's the most sacked manager in the Premier League history? He's sacked by 5 different Premier League clubs now.
Yeah, great. He won the league with one of them.
Yeah, he did.
Frank Lampard.
No, not on the list last season. It was the season before. I think he got sacked.
Was it?
Yeah,
I'm sure remember the other one I had.
Oh God. I'll go for Silver, but I know it's not right.
No, it's not right. Steve, you've won the last man standing. Sean Dyche, yeah.
That's 2 I've won this year. Woo!
Is that 2 you've won?
Yeah.
We're only 4 episodes in. That's a 50% success rate.
In fact, 2 guests to everyone else 0.
Yeah.
I've got 1.
Oh, did you?
That doesn't make sense then, does it? Steve, are you overclaiming?
No.
No, Steve's definitely won twice, yeah. Steve's definitely won twice.
You got any more?
No, I'm stuck
Santo.
Yeah, Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yeah. Right.
Tottenham. He won managing 1 month and got sacked the next. Munoz from Watford. He was the first one that they sacked last season. Steve Bruce at Newcastle. Feels like a lot longer ago than last year.
He'll be sacked again soon.
Where's he at now? West Brom?
West Brom,
yeah. Dean Smith, you got Farker, we got Espirito Santo. Solskjaer.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah. Rafa Benitez at Everton.
Benitez, yeah.
Fabio Ranieri at Watford. Sean Dyche at Burnley and Marcelo Bielsa at Leeds United.
Yeah.
Right, Manchester United on Thursday, guys. They've come onto a little bit of form. Steve, how do we beat Manchester United this Thursday? And don't say score more goals than them.
Well, that would be one thing to do. I think they're playing now, last couple of games, with a bit more energy and fight under Ten Hag, and I think we've got to outfight them.
Is that where we start? Is that the energy that the pitch has got to be a key one for that, then, isn't it? Yeah. Barry, do you see that happening? I'm not after a prediction from you, but can you see Leicester really being up for this on Thursday?
Possibly, because it is shut, isn't it? So it's the first game once the window is done. Everyone will know where they stand, like who's still there. If they can replicate how they played against Chelsea, because for me Chelsea are a better side than Man United, 10 men or not. So if they can sort of like do that again, and just be a bit more clinical, that could and possibly should be enough.
The clinical side of it is going to be key, isn't it? That's absolutely spot on. United this season, Tom, their XG is 6.4 against and only 5.24. So based on that, we should get some chances against them. They've given chances away this season with quite regularity. I know they got absolutely spanked by Brentford a couple of games ago. That's the sort of mentality that we need to go into this with, isn't it? On Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've come out with a good result, but I think they're there for the taking. I know our squad. I kind of feel like if one or two go in early doors against us, we will crumble. But yeah, if the chances are there, if we've got Barnes running up the wing and just getting the ball in, that's what it's all about, really. I don't know if is Maddison going to be fit for it.
I was just going to ask you the same thing, Tom.
Yeah, well, it would certainly be a sight for sore eyes to see him on the starting lineup. And as you've said, Vardy likes a goal against Man U. If there's someone that's going to be fired up for it, it's going to be him.
Yeah. Steve, we just have the chart positions through for it's 11-7 for Jamie Vardy. Like Leicester City, we're now 102nd in the chart in Nigeria. What's happening?
I guess we're not playing Ndidi and Iheanacho enough for them. We don't talk about them enough. Yeah, if we were praising...
We need to do more then.
We need to praise them more. Iheanacho didn't do too bad when he came on. No, it's I'd still like to see us play with two up top, to be honest. I think it's a bit negative playing one up top, and I think we're a better team going forward than we are defending. So better to win 5-4 than lose 2-0 because we haven't been creating much up top. Look, I think Man U were a little lucky to beat Southampton, to be honest, and I think we need to score first because, as Tom said, we concede. We're ripe for conceding another one, and that will be a bridge too far. So, but if we score first, I think we got a chance.
How do we stick together at the minute then as a club? Because the siege mentality's got to be within there somewhere. We know that we've spoken, Barry, about having enough quality in the squad to be able to finish quite high this season. But for whatever reason, it's not happening at the minute. How do we pull together at this point? And I guess what the lads have said there about an early goal for us is probably quite key to that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think Man United didn't look great, like Steve said. And when they're playing this McTominay and Eriksen as like the two more defensive two, you've got to get into them. And you've got the midfield to do that. So the high energy.
Casemiro might play for them on Thursday.
Possibly. Well, he came on and looked tired. For someone who was a fresh sub, he wasn't getting around the pitch very quick. Maybe. But then I think that makes them more vulnerable. Who gets dropped? Do you drop Eriksen, who's creative, or do you drop McTominay, who's bundle of energy? I don't know. I still think they're still questioning what their best team is. And rightly or wrongly, you kind of know yours because it's kind of the same every week. So it's just
was it last game?
So it just needs to be sort of tactical tweaks. I'm with Steve. I would like to see two up front, but then you kind of don't play Barnes, do you?
Yeah, unless Barnes is one of the two up front.
But he'll still favour the wing, won't he? He'll just naturally get attracted to the wing
potentially
and not play that.
I like having Barnes up on a 2 away from home. I think we did it against was it Man City last season where we scored. It was when we beat them 5-2. I think Barnes played in behind Vardy in that game when we spanked them at the Etihad that time. I quite like Barnes up there, but probably at home it's not the right thing to do. I tell you what, if Casemiro does play on Thursday, Tom, mark my words, when this happens in the game, it will definitely get booked for fouling Maddison. Maddison will be sprawling all around the floor if he's playing for that. But are Man United the fearsome side that they once were? Do you look at that fixture and go, well, there's no chance we're going to pick 3 points up here, or should we be looking to get?
No. I think we've had decent results against them, and I mean, let's be real, Man U have been a bit of a laughing stock recently, so they're certainly not a team to be feared. It's just a bit of a shame that they're coming into form now and they're clearly getting their tactics down with the new manager.
What do you think of Ten Hag, Steve?
Well, he's got a big job on. They better be patient with him. I think he could get them there eventually, but they're not going to be challenging for anything this season. So how patient they're going to be, I think is the question. I mean, I would say Man U's the easier game out of Man U and Brighton.
I was going to ask that.
How far they plummeted.
Yeah, Brighton are a really good side, mate. We'll come on to them shortly. I read something about Ten Hag. I'm not sure which game it was based on, but they'd ran 8 miles less per player or less across the whole of the playing squad on a certain game. It might have been the Brentford game actually.
I think it
And
was.
He made them all run an extra 8 miles at training, and they're all moaning about it. And he's gone and stripped off down to his tracksuit as well, and joined them in for an 8-mile run because he said, including himself, they weren't good enough at that game. That's a great mentality, Barry, isn't it? To have to hear that coming from. If you have that Leicester at the minute, and you heard that the manager was not necessarily having a run with them, but setting a tone of discipline like that, you'd feel a little bit more comfortable about the situation.
Yeah, I just like everything I read about him. There's just no bullshit with him. And excuse me, one of the things I read is he spoke to the guys up top about Ferguson not being as big an influence and not being like a director or anything like that. And I think just, like, it's brave, but he's right. Like there's just no way Man United make signings and Ferguson doesn't give it the final stamp of approval, and you don't need that. And Ten Hag has earned his stripes to be fully in charge. But they are more energetic. Their 1-2s are wonderful, but the last 3 games I've watched them, they tire. Like the last 10 minutes, they're done. And if Leicester can hold it to that, they could absolutely punish it. Because you've got good forward substitutions that can punish teams, and nearly punish Chelsea.
Yeah. Tom, how much are you looking forward to going down the ground on Thursday? Is it starting to feel like a chore yet, or are you thinking, no, do you know what? We can make a difference here on Thursday?
I'm well up for it on Thursday. Absolutely. And I know you will be as well. I know each week we go on about this. If we go a goal or 2 down, is the atmosphere gonna be rotten in the crowd? I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be on a Thursday night,
because it will remind us too much of the European days of last season.
Too right, yeah.
Nights under the lights. We'll be at home to Manchester United. The song's gone there, isn't it?
Hopefully, we won't have to endure the 2 goals the other way anyway.
Yeah, well, that's standard at the minute, isn't it? 2.5 goals the other way. I'll take some predictions for Thursday for you guys, if that's okay. I'll start off with yourself, Steve.
I think we're going to win 2-1.
Yeah. Barry?
I think it's going to be 1-0 United.
Okay, Tom?
Sorry.
Shots fired. It literally could be any score on Thursday. That's the way I feel. But I'm going to go with Steve and go 2-1 to us.
I'm going to go 4-2 to us.
Oh yes,
the Rick Roar of a game, end to end. But Jamie Vardy finds his scoring boots and scores twice in front of the Kop to steal it. We can all hope, can't we?
Yeah.
Right. After that, we've got a game on Sunday. It's been moved now onto the Sky Sports cameras as well on Sunday afternoon against Brighton. So it wasn't originally due to be on Sky. I'm not sure what's changed, but they've announced today that it's going to be on Sky on Sunday. Steve, Brighton is a very, very tough place to go. They've got 10 points from the first 12 games. Graham Potter is working absolute wonders there, isn't he, at the minute?
Yeah, well, they've lost players as well, haven't they? So they've lost some of their star players and are still doing well. So he's done well. And believe it or not, he was getting booed off the park when they drew 0-0 at home last season as well. And now they're sitting pretty in 4th place with 10 points. Be a really tough game. If we get a draw there, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They're quite shrewd with the signings there, Barry, aren't they? So I know you spoke there about losing players. So Cucurella and Basuma have gone out, but the players they bring in, it's almost like an academy of class that comes through for them. Yeah,
they've obviously got a good system there, and they just play good football. Like, you could understand why they're not going for megastars. They can't do that. So like their attraction is the way they play, the way he wants you to play. You could see him being a good. If he's part of the conversation with the player, he'd be totally crystal clear what he expects, what he's going to get from you, and what they could achieve altogether. I do like him. I think he's really good, and he's getting what he deserves.
It stops rising at the moment.
Yeah,
his reputation.
But he can be streaky. Like, he always has these patches. So it'd be interesting to see how long this continues and if he can maintain it.
Yeah, can he maintain
it? Possibly. If they come to the January window and they're still in the top 6, it's all about investment then. and making the right moves. But we'll see. But then, like, could he be lured away prior to that? I don't
Do
know.
you think he could be? You see him at Villa?
He's a Villa fan.
Is he?
Supposedly. And I was reading today that, it's probably bullshit right enough, but that he was questioned if his team came for him, would he do it? And he said it'd have to be right for both clubs. He could never leave a club with a bitter taste. So
Yeah.
would we pay the compensation to get him? Yeah, we probably would. I don't know. But
So
I do like what he's doing. He put his football, the team, the way they play football is how I would like my team to play football.
They've beaten Manchester United, Tom, Leeds, West Ham, and drew with Newcastle so far. So they've not had an easy run by any means. They play Fulham tomorrow night away, and Fulham aren't a bad side either. That's my worry at the moment. Every time I talk about side, I'm thinking they're not a bad side. They're not a bad side.
Very true.
It's difficult to find three worst sides at the minute, isn't it?
Well, there's Forest and Villa. There's two.
Still keeps us in the bottom three, though, doesn't it?
Even Forest are playing nice football, actually, aren't they?
Yeah.
Bournemouth have shipped 16 goals in their last 4 games, haven't they? So they won the game before that, hasn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, Parker said that his squad's not strong enough, and so that's a strong statement against the board. And if they don't make any signings, that could backfire on him in terms of the confidence he has in the current squad and they have in him and everything else, particularly after a 9-0 defeat. Yeah,
it's never good to be on the other end of those, I imagine. Tom, should we be fearing going to Brighton? I know last season, I think we were quite unlucky there. I think Ademola Lookman had about 17 goals disallowed, if I remember rightly, in the same game for offside through VAR. So we stand a chance there on Sunday, don't we? It's not a game that we're thinking we're going to definitely lose.
Yeah, no, of course we stand a chance. I think Brighton, they've kind of become one of those underdog teams that are actually better than you think. And they have been for a good 2 or 3 seasons. Like they've always played really good football against us at the King Power. So it's going to be a tough game for sure. But we've got the players that can make the runs and get the ball in. So
give us a prediction then, Tom.
I will go for another 2-1 to Leicester.
We'll get 6 points.
Yes, mate.
Rodgers in. Rodgers in.
Barry?
Same as Tom.
Okay, Steve?
1-1.
I'll go 2-1, I think, for that one. I just can't see us not conceding goals at the minute. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I need some confidence in the defence.
2-1 to who?
I'm saying 1-1.
Oh, you're saying 1-1. Sorry.
No, I'm saying 2-1. Oh, for God's sake, 2-1. Yeah, I can't see us not conceding goals at the moment. I'm really hoping that we come out and spend some of the Fofana money in the last couple of days of the transfer window. Steve, what are you hoping for in the last couple of days of the window?
That we keep Tielemans, that we get rid of some of the dross that doesn't really feature, like Vestergaard, but it doesn't seem like he wants to go for half the money he's on for some reason. I just think he's being mean and selfish. I mean, he should put Leicester City first and go for half the salary he's currently on. And the bastard. And Perez maybe. And if Kaggs isn't going to feature, get rid of him, right? If he's not going to sign a contract or Rodgers doesn't want him to sign a contract, get rid of him. Get some more players in. Let's hope our 5th and 6th choice signings in different roles actually work out and we can start to rise up the table to kind of top of the bottom half.
Yeah. Would you take 17th this season if offered it to you now?
No. I still think we can do better than that, but I would take 12th.
Because there'd be a lot of clubs, Barry, wouldn't there, in Leicester's position, that even though they're bottom of the league, the players that you've got, you go, well, it's going to get better at some point. There just doesn't seem to be all that much belief around the club at the moment. Would you agree that with Steve, where the priorities are for the remainder of the window?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more keeping the big guys if you can, the main cogs, rather than trying to sign replacements or fill spaces. Because I still don't think the squad is actually all that bad. Granted, relying on Amartey isn't ideal, but he could still get a tune out of Cags, whether he signs a contract or not.
I agree. Tom, I'll give you the closing word this evening because our hour has been and gone as ever, and it goes quickly past. But this time last week, I asked you what you wanted from the next week, and you said, "I feel like we're not completely in the shit."
Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
I think we are balancing a fine line, very fine line.
On the shitometer, though, are we more in the shit?
Yeah, it's not a great situation. I mean, we're talking about Amartey a lot, but realistically, we need centre backs, because if Evans has some sort of injury that puts him out for half a season, who are we then putting in? Is Vestergaard in every week filling that role? Who's going to be filling in the captain role? Because Albrighton doesn't bloody play. So yeah, it could well be a really difficult season. It's looking tricky enough as it is.
It's been the sort of show where we've tried to keep it as light as we can be, but things are very much in the balance at the moment, aren't they? But thanks very much for your input tonight, guys, as ever. This time next week, the window will be closed. We'll know what we've got, and we'll be able to talk about what the immediate future might look like for Leicester City. 2 games in the meantime. Hopefully we'll get some points, but that's another episode of It's 11, It's 7 for Jamie Vardy, and we'll speak to you again next time.